Welcome to the Daily Exchange. Guys, we're here with John McAfee. We're talking about his past, present, future, everything to do with crypto. We'll see you guys right after this. All right, guys, welcome back. We're here with John McAfee. John, welcome to the Daily Exchange. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. I'm happy to be talking to you. You're very up, so I need some up right now.
You're quite quite a pop culture icon, I would say. You know, living a very bohemian lifestyle, libertarian. Really, a household name. Would love to get a read on how's life right now, John? Tell us what's going on.
Well, ever since we got out of jail in the Dominican Republic, we've been keeping a very low profile. Well, not a low profile. I'm on Twitter constantly, and I do podcasts, and I actually showed up live at a blockchain conference in Barcelona a few weeks back. But we're just taking it easy. I'm communicating from a Faraday cage so that no signals can get out, so nothing can be traced. We have no telephones anymore. We don't carry any electronic gear outside of the communication room.
Okay.
And, we've had quite a fast 6 months. We were chased out of the Bahamas, went to Cuba. Cuba called Janice and I in and said the U.S. government had asked to be returned to the U.S. And they said we would prefer it, Mr. McAfee, if you would leave the country within 72 hours.
Okay. So, you've had a couple of some wild times.
Well, yeah. Then we went 4.5 days at sea to the Dominican Republic, and as soon as we pulled into port, we were surrounded by soldiers. So we've had, the U.S. owns the Caribbean. We all know that, except for Cuba. Thank you, David. And the problems we had in the Bahamas and Cuba and the Dominican Republic were caused by the CIA's attempt to get me back to the States through their wiles. So it has not worked. We got out of the Dominican Republic. They tried to ship us back to America, but my lawyers managed to quash that. And we flew to England, and now we're in an undisclosed location.
Okay. And what's sort of keeping you up at night right now, John?
Movies. We're watching movies late at night. We're in a part of the world which is on the other side of the U.S., and we stay up very late and get up very late, so that my getting up time is more or less, the U.S. Eastern Standard wake-up time. So that's the only thing. Listen, I sleep like a baby. And so does Janice. I mean, we just conk out every single night. So, nothing keeps me up.
What, John, you've got a movie coming up, apparently. You are going to be apparently played by Zac Efron. Do you think he's worthy of playing you?
Well, he's not actually playing me. He's playing a part. Okay, this is based on a 3-week segment of my life in 2011. And it was a 3-week period where a reporter from Wired magazine came down to stay with me for a couple of weeks to write the story. He was not prepared. Okay. So he was totally freaked out the entire time he was with me. And I fucked with the press anyway. I mean, one of the things I did, if anybody's read Josh Davis's ebook on that 3-week period called John McAfee's Last Stand, it starts off, and there's a photo on the cover of me with a pistol to my head. That's symbolic of the scene on the second day he was there, when I whipped out my revolver, emptied the shells on the table, picked one up, put it in my revolver, put it in my head, and pulled the trigger. He was jumping up and screaming, "Oh God, you don't have to do this. Don't do this." And I did it about 20 times. Okay. And I'm smiling on the inside. Anybody knows a trick. Nobody is going to put a revolver to their head, spin it 20 times and pull the trigger when there's one bullet in it. Then, after I'd finished, I took him outside, pointed the gun at the sand, pulled the trigger. It went off and sand exploded everywhere. So he thought that was for real, that I actually risked my life 20 times to impress a fucking reporter. No, I'm fucking with him. The mainstream media deserves fucking with him. So I fucked with him the entire time he was there. And that was the mildest thing I fucked with him about. So he went back and wrote a book about the experience, and now they're making a movie of it.
What?
No, Zach plays the reporter.
Okay.
Michael Keaton is playing me.
Okay. What? Tell us what's one of the craziest things that's ever happened to you?
In a world of crazy things, it's difficult to say what the craziest thing is. Certainly, the most disruptive thing was when I was in Belize, and I was running from the Belizean government for a month and a half and hiding out in the jungle, and ended up finally staying right next to the police station in Belize City for a couple of weeks. Nobody looked for me there. I mean, I could literally walk out in the street and people paid no attention. Yeah, that was probably the craziest thing. I mean, we escaped into Guatemala with Vice Magazine's senior editor, Rocco Castoro, and a photographer, Robert King, who was a world-renowned war photographer, and immediately got arrested in Guatemala, spent a month in jail there, and then got deported out of Guatemala back to the States, and that's where I met my lovely wife, Jen, that same night.
Wow. What a rock and roll lifestyle. I love it. What? Tell us, John, you've got into crypto in a big way. What attracted you to cryptocurrency in the first place?
Okay. Of all the world-changing technologies that have appeared in the past 100 years, the blockchain, and you have to admit it is world-changing, or soon will be, is the only technology that did not come from a government secret program, from a large corporation like Samsung or IBM. It came from the people, ordinary programmers, for God's sake, geeks. And they gave that source and that concept to us. And from that white paper for Bitcoin, we have taken the blockchain and expanded it 1,000-fold over what Bitcoin was. And it offers us, as citizens of the world, an opportunity to free ourselves from the financial cage that we live in. And we live in that cage because we are dependent upon the fiat currency of the country in which we live. Can't pay your rent, send your kids to school, get medical care, buy a car, nothing without that currency. And the person or entity controlling that currency controls you. They can increase the supply, making all of your hard-earned efforts less meaningful. They can monitor and control how you use that currency. And cryptocurrency offers us, for the first time, an opportunity to have our own currency free from control and observation of the powers that be.
What, John, tell us, do you think the US government is terrified of Bitcoin?
I think that all governments, not Bitcoin, though, they're terrified of Monero, that's for sure. They put out an RFP in January, a request for proposal, for a staggering amount of money for anybody, using whatever supercomputers they needed that the government had, who could break Monero's system, and it can't be broken. I mean, you cannot break it. I'm sorry, not with current technology. So they're terrified of that. All governments are afraid of crypto. I think they all know that Bitcoin is not going to be our standard bearer in terms of use. I mean, it's slow, it's clunky, it just doesn't work. It has no privacy features. It has no smart contract feature. So it's the first and the oldest technology, but it's one we all love, and I think it will always be our standard of value. But the real currencies that are afraid of are not the ones we invest in, but the ones we use. Ethereum, DAI, Monero. This scares them. And this is why all countries, starting with China now, are developing or trying to develop their own cryptocurrency in the hopes that they can force their people to use exclusively their own cryptocurrency. But you don't have to do that, people, when this comes. And it is coming, I promise you. You don't have to do that. It's just like the reason they want to control your finances. You think they wanted to control your finances before the income tax came in? No, what you did with your money was your business. But after the income tax came into effect in 1913, then suddenly it makes a damn lot of difference to the government where you spend your money and how you make your money. We need to get back to a system where it's ours and not theirs.
What do you think, John, is the ultimate reason for central bank, digital currencies?
For central bank digital currencies? Well, they're the same thing as fiat currency, only more controllable, more reportable. They can see everything, every single penny that you spend or make. They can track that infinitely all the way down the line if it's cryptocurrency. So this is the holy grail for totalitarian governments. And those governments that implement this will soon become totalitarian because they will have ultimate knowledge of the citizen, which is the holy grail of any totalitarian government.
Makes sense. With I guess right now there are a lot of conspiracies going on, John, around the world. What sort of what conspiracies do you think are true, but everyone else is dismissing?
The only one I know of that's true is the shadow government, at least in America. I know that one very well. Of course, there's a shadow government, and it's our covert agencies. Our covert agencies, like the CIA, which is the great monster within the heart of America. The CIA has a word for politicians. They call them transients. Transients. Why? They come, they go. President comes in, he's there for 4 years, 8 maximum, and he's out. But if you're in the CIA, you're there for life. You don't leave and you don't retire. When you do, quote, officially retire, you just stop getting a government paycheck and start getting a paycheck from some secret corporation somewhere. So they're there for life. And I don't think that this shadow government is necessarily a bunch of evil doers and bad people. No, I think they're genuinely patriots. And I think they have actually a real case to be made. And their case is this, that it is impossible for politicians, congressmen, senators, presidents, to understand the complexity of the web work of national political politics, religions, culture clashes, political alliances, and so on. It's impossible. It would take 20 years to brief a president. They don't have the time or the information. So instead, presidents are given whatever information is in the interest of those who really control the government. How do they control presidents? Trivial. If it's in the CIA's interest, for example, that we invade Iraq, and it certainly was in the CIA's interest, then they can do something as trivial as, Mr. Bush, Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons. Well, what happened? Bush had no choice. You got to invade. Did he find the nuclear weapons? No, because they weren't there. The CIA knew they weren't there. It was just something. This is how the CIA controls America. Through the president, congressmen, senators, by giving them what information they wish to give them in order to motivate their actions toward the aims of the CIA. Now, call that a conspiracy theory? Use your heads, people. Please, God, look around you.
What, John? We've got a couple of fast questions from our community as well. Just these are fast question answers.
How fast are they? I'm 74. Go ahead.
First one is, what do you think of Snowden, patriot or traitor?
He's certainly not a traitor. I don't know him well enough to say that he's a patriot. But has he done anything to harm any American citizen? No. Has he done anything to try to wake up the American citizenry? Yes. So fuck me. Give him some support.
What about Julian Assange? Do you think his WikiLeaks interfered with the US election?
No. The U.S. interfered with the U.S. election. Let's wake up, folks. Russia didn't interfere. Russia doesn't need to interfere with a decaying and collapsing mechanism. No, sit back and enjoy the collapse. No, America interfered with America's election. This didn't come from outside America. This came from manipulative, powerful people within both parties and within our covert agency to steer the election the way that the people behind the curtain want.
What about Mr. Trump? Do you think he's guilty or not of impeachment?
Listen, I met him one time at a party and barely remember it. It was the shaking hands, hi, how are you, and moving on. I've never had dinner with him, never talked deeply about spiritual or social things. Never smoked a cigar or gone fishing. And I don't know jack shit about him, and neither do you, sir, or anybody, unless you are with him, because your information, unless you have something I don't, comes from my same sources, which you can't believe my fucking word, comes from the mainstream media. Well, if the mainstream media says something, chances are the reverse is actually happening. So I can't answer that question. I don't know if he's guilty, if he's innocent. I don't know whether the crime or the accusation of the crime is even just, or if it even fucking matters. Because really, it doesn't matter who sits in that chair. We're in a system with a frozen, it's like a car with a frozen steering wheel. It doesn't matter who sits in the driver's seat. That car is going in the same fucking direction. And if you think that is a conspiracy theory, will you please look at the past 50 years? I ask you, everyone, now to look honestly at yourself and tell me, when a president changes office, does anything in your life change? Anything? Anything get better for you? Not the pie in the sky, the numbers are good, the employment's good. No, for you people. I promise you, you have never been touched by a presidential election, and yet you spend so much time talking about it, viewing it, making fun of candidates and praising others. Please, good God, people, wake the fuck up. I'm sorry.
Let's go talk about cryptocurrency now as well, John. You have just launched a new DEX, the McAfee DEX. Tell us, what was the sort of driving spirit behind launching the DEX?
Well, I wanted to challenge the authority of the SEC, pure and simple. I believe that the SEC is unjustly interfering in the crypto sphere. We are not securities. And yet, securities is the limit of the SEC's domain. And yet they're fucking around with us. Number two, they say you cannot have an exchange unless you have know your customer, anti-money laundering facilities, and so on. Well, I say that's bullshit. You can't tell me, if I am an entrepreneur, that I must put into my creation something to help You catch criminals? Your fucking job, not mine. If I manufacture bicycles and you say, Mr. McAfee, you have to put these little devices in every bike so that we can listen to and hear what's going on, so that if the bike gets stolen, we can very easily catch the bike thief. It's the same thing. Would you buy a bike from me if you had a choice and I said, I'm sorry, but you have to have this, knowing that they can listen to you and watch you all the time? Same thing, people. So I built a DEX, which is completely distributed. Completely. And we have no control. In other words, we take no money, we get no information from you, not your name, not an email address, nothing. It's just a portal into the blockchain. And on the blockchain, our logic is in smart contracts on the blockchain. So the nice thing is it can't ever be shut down. The SEC comes to Mr. McAfee, shut it down now, and go, I can't. I'm sorry, I created it. I wasn't thinking that I couldn't shut it down once I created it. Can't change it. And you can't, even if you take my domain, McAfeeText.com, it doesn't matter. Not only are we decentralized, we are distributed. We already have over 30 different portals all around the world, of different domains, of different services. So you can't shut us down. By the end of the year, we'll have over 100. So I wanted to build something that is for the people. Why should you be watched, monitored, and controlled with what you do with the money that you earn from the sweat of your brow, or from the thought process of your brain, or from the time that you spend? That's yours, not the government. And I wanted to build something that the government could not interfere with, and I've done it. Now, I'd like to stay hiding now forever. Because I have made one of the greatest of all enemies. Two, really, the IRS, they hate it, and the SEC. But I have built it. It is here. We started with the Ethereum blockchain. Every Ethereum token, well, thousands of them, from the ERC20 to ERC1440. We added Tron yesterday. That's up and running. End of the year, we'll have Binance, EOS, and Neo. And by the second quarter next year, we will have true cross-chain transactions where you can trade a Neo blockchain for a Tron, for an Ethereum, and whatever. By then, we will have every single token in the world. When a new one comes out, you can listen with us for free. We don't even get involved in that. There's a button at the top of the page saying list token. And you put in the technical specs and you're listed. You don't have to pay us anything. We don't charge any maker fees and only 0.25% taker fees. And that is not going to support our ongoing development. But I did it because it had to be done. I kept saying, please God, people do this, else we're lost. Well, I've done it.
And how are you feeling about it, John? How are you feeling about it now?
No, fantastic. It actually is going way better than I thought. It really is. People are, it's in beta version. And I'm saying, listen, it ain't useful. If you think it's useful now, it's not. We only had one chain up until yesterday. That was Ethereum. Now we only have two. That's Ethereum and Tron. And even if we had 4 or 5, it's still not useful without cross chains. No one's ever managed to solve the cross-chain transaction problem that we have. And by the first quarter, we will have that. And we will be Binance without the fees, without the paperwork, without them knowing what you're doing. And governments can do nothing whatsoever about it.
Tell us about your. You've got your coin whacked. Tell us about that.
It's a joke token. It was not the first of the joke tokens. Doge was a joke token. That's a complete joke. A dog token. Well, people started using it. I don't intend or even want people to start using it, but it's a joke coin, only with a twist. 10% of every transaction is sent to the burn address. So if you send someone 100 tokens, then receive 90, and 10 go to the burn address. Now, there are companies that have done, there are tokens that do that already. They're called deflationary tokens. And the idea is, as the supply diminishes, if the demand even remotely stays the same, the coin will skyrocket in price. Well, to prevent that skyrocketing from happening, we added one additional thing, which is kind of scary. 1 out of every 1,000 transactions are burned entirely. That means you've been whacked. In other words, so if you send someone 10,000 tokens, they will receive none, and there's no recourse. They'll just get a notification. Oh, I'm sorry, your tokens are whacked. Move on. So, so that's basically it. It's people who want to just risk, have fun. In fact, already we had 58,000 signups, and we burned randomly 1 out of 1,000, and we had 56 people who did not receive their airdrop because they were randomly selected not to receive them. Not by us, but by the mathematics. We, again, have no control over it. And we've listed it on our exchange, so it's there. It's just something to have fun with, and I want to keep, here's the other issue. I want to keep the world's attention on something which might be a breakthrough for us in America if we push hard enough. Jeffrey Epstein he did not commit suicide. He was murdered. This is so clear from all of the evidence. And in fact, today, a shred of evidence came out saying that 2 of the guards who said that they had walked down that cell block and written it down lied about it and did not go down the cell block. They were offered immunity to testify, and they turned it down. So let me tell you, somebody is going to break. Somebody's going to break, because they already have evidence that at a certain time, both guards said, yes, we walked down it, and no, they did not for many hours, not until after Epstein was found. Now, if we break this, people, if we get to the truth of this one, you may think simple thing, but it isn't. It is how our government operates. And if we, as people, keep putting pressure, he didn't commit suicide, and he didn't just force somebody to open that door and show us the real fucking evidence. So that's why.
What who do you think killed Epstein?
Listen, Epstein had a security system that recorded every fucking thing going on his side. And he was blackmailing people right and left. So it could be any one of 100 different people. I do not know. I just know that he was black. This much I know.
Okay, let's talk about some more cryptocurrency, John. What's your latest prediction on Bitcoin's price and where you think it's going?
Oh, I'm sticking with $1 million by the end of 2020. And the reasoning, please, people, is use some simple mathematics. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. 18 million have already been mined, leaving 3 million, which will not be completely mined out for many years to come. In addition, over 7 million have been lost forever. And every day, for every Bitcoin that is mined, 4 are lost. Now, please, God, anybody who understands market statistics will look and go, holy shit, this is a rapidly declining supply with a demand that is not diminishing. If it doesn't hit $1 million, then 2 and 2 simply is no longer 4.
How do you feel about your, I guess, a lot of price movements recently? how do you think? Are you what are you gonna do about? I guess you've made a big promise, and it's out there. How are you
Sure.
feeling about it in
Yeah.
terms of confidence level right now?
I can't lose that bet. It's not mathematically possible. I feel fine.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care if Bitcoin drops to 50 cents tomorrow. It will not matter. At the end of 2020, it will be over $1 million. This is a fact.
With the, I guess if there was a cryptocurrency you could invest in other than Bitcoin, what would it be?
I don't invest in crypto. I think that's the most ridiculous of all things. We've been given a gift of almost magic. All the people in the world have been given the gift of the blockchain. Far more powerful than the gift of fire itself, of gods, according to legend. And what are we doing with it? We're buying and selling it on fucking exchanges. People, do you see that you're taking this golden key that's intended to unlock your cage and let you out, not by making you rich, because that will not let you out of your cage. I fucking promise you. I've been there. No, but by using it for its intended purpose to bypass and supersede fiat currency, people. We have the coins. Right now, you can buy anything you want with crypto, Monero, Ethereum, houses, cars, bulletproof vests, clothes, pussy. You can buy anything. And yet, what are you doing? Watching the market. Should I hold? Should I sell? I don't invest in cryptocurrency. I think that's the most horrendous of all concepts that I have seen in the past 10 years.
We had a quite a controversial guest on the show, and the community was a bit up in arms. Mr. Craig Wright.
A good friend of mine. I like Mr. Wright.
Okay. He and I don't enjoy saying this, but I'm just quoting. He called you a name. I think you saw the interview as well.
I didn't. I listen. I don't have time to watch any interviews. My apologies. I have, unfortunately, a lot to do in my remaining years. But go ahead.
Okay.
He called me a name. Tell me the name. I love names.
He called you Conman John.
Okay.
I hate to say that, but I'm just.
Why? He said it, not you.
That's true. That's true. I'm just quoting.
Yeah.
You know, what's your thoughts on Craig Wright and where he's going with his BSV?
I think Craig is fundamentally a very decent man. I mean, he's got quirks. Who doesn't have quirks? He's a smart man. I mean, you know, I had a friend, okay, that took acid when I was in my mid-20s and came back and swore it was Jesus. He just put up with it. It went away after a year or so, okay? So Craig, who insists that we call him Satoshi, that's the only problem. I have trouble sometimes forgetting that he's not Craig, but Satoshi, just has this thing that we have to call him Satoshi. If you do that, then he turns into a very nice man.
And do you think there's anyone, you know, that's dangerous to cryptocurrency?
Dangerous? Yes. The users. The ones who are insanely investing rather than using. Listen, if you're into cryptocurrency, make a fucking store on the internet and sell things. I don't care what, buttons, shoelaces, hoodies, art, I don't care. Do that. And if you're into cryptocurrency, use that cryptocurrency to buy shit that you need. Try Googling it first. See if you can find it by buying it with crypto. If you can, do that. Why not? You got it. Do that, please, God, rather than spend every moment thinking, oh, this is wonderful, we'll all get rich, because if you don't use it, I promise you, you won't get rich.
Who's your favorite person in crypto, John?
Jihan Wu, the founder of Bitmain, the only miner for all of Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else. Why? Because he's the most unassuming and humble businessman I've ever met. He is polite. He listens. He doesn't toot his own horn when he talks about himself. I spend too little time with him, unfortunately. One of my favorite people. Maybe the only person I favor more would be Rock Pierce, because Rock is the party animal from hell, and the only other person I know in crypto that can actually keep up with me. So I like Rock. Those two.
If you could, I guess, get someone to join cryptocurrency and join this community, who would they be? You know, bring all their experience and all their effort and ideas. Who would that be? It would
be the common person, the plumbers, the housewives, the stay-at-home wives, the concrete workers, electricians, the tellers at the bank, and the checkout clerk at the store. That's who I want, because if these people start using it, then we're in Fat City. But the problem is this: every intro to cryptocurrency presumes that you're entering crypto in order to exchange. Do you see? That's madness. We need entrance that shows you've got $100 that you would like to try transacting in crypto. And transacting doesn't mean change it to Bitcoin, change it to Monero, hold. No, transacting, meaning buy some shipment and have a little catalog. Here are the things you can buy: Rolls Royces, shoelaces, drugs, of course. But you name it, a catalog of what you can buy and why it's in your interest to buy it with crypto. That's what we need. I'm 74 people. Good God, you made me build this fucking DEX by myself. Don't make me have to write that fucking manual. Someone out there have a goddamn heart and do this for me.
If, in the future, John, do you think it's possible to have, I guess, privacy with blockchain powering that for most people?
If we don't have privacy, we don't have crypto, and we might as well go back to the drawing boards or walk back into our slaves' quarters and shut the door forever, because privacy is the central element of freedom. You can't be free without privacy. And do you think people go, well, I got nothing to hide? I call bullshit on that, because every human being has a sophisticated set of privacy filters which operate unconsciously in you. If you doubt this, when you check out something from the grocery store and there's a new checkout clerk, you go, I fucked my wife's sister last night. It was a mistake. I don't know what to do about it. No, that's insane, because you're revealing too fucking much information. For someone you've never met, we have rules. Hey, weather's nice today. Price of tomatoes is skyrocketing. And that's it. Hello and goodbye. Casual acquaintance, well, depending on your level of openness, you might tell them casually, good God, I got a problem. I fucked my wife's sister last night. I'm afraid my wife's going to find out. But probably not. To a close friend, you might or might not. You might even, with your wife, choose to tell her or choose not to tell her. Do you understand, people? You could not survive without your right to choose your level of privacy constantly, every hour of every day of your life. So please, God, I don't want to hear anymore. I've got nothing to hide. Look in the fucking mirror and see who you are, people. Yes, you have to have privacy in order to be free.
Talking about, John, with like Facebook right now, they're obviously trying to launch their Libra coin. Well, I guess the Libra Foundation is, but they've been, supporting that. Do you think that's I guess a counter to maybe the central bank coin, the Chinese central bank coin? Is that maybe where some of that's coming from?
Facebook, what's that? Sorry. Okay. Libra is an abomination. Libra is not the spirit of cryptocurrency, which allows us to have some privacy and to be able to have control over our own currencies. No, it's a reverse. It's just Facebook leaching more and more into your being to now include how you spend and where you get every penny. Now, whether it is a response to what governments are doing, I don't give a flying fuck, because whatever corporations are doing and governments, none of that shit is good for us people. And when the rule comes down that you must use the crypto dollar, use your civil disobedience and just don't do it. You're doing it now. I mean, I hear, even though it's massively illegal in some places, I hear that even where it's illegal, I've heard of people smoking weed. Yes, everybody fucking smokes weed, and yet in some places it's severely illegal. Why? People are exercising the right to civil disobedience. It's my body, not yours, government, but mine, and I will put into it whatever I damn well please.
With you've said previously that currencies like the US dollar, the yen, the euro won't exist in 10 years' time. Are you sort of anticipating a slow decline to becoming worthless, or like a big financial bust coming up, or what do you think this will actually look like?
It depends on the people. This is one of these things. I wish I had organizational skills or leadership skills, because we need somebody to stand up and say, now, for the first time in your lives, people, you must take charge and make a fucking decision. Are you going to cooperate with what the governments say is the greatest thing since sliced bread, when we get all of our cryptocurrency? Or are you going to do the right thing and say, no, we have Monero, that's private. We have DAI, that's stable. You have Bitcoin, that's old and well known. We have smart contracts. No, we're going to use our own. It's here. It's better than anything governments have yet developed. And whatever is developed by these people is going to be another bar in your cage rather than the key to unlock it. We have time for one more question, sir.
Last question. We've got a question we ask everyone, and that is everyone on the show answers this question, John, and you can answer it however you want. It is, what do you think the price of Bitcoin will be at New Year's Eve 2019?
Me?
Yeah.
It better damn well be more than $1 million. And thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much, John. All right, guys, that is the Daily Exchange. That's John McAfee coming at you. See you guys later. Yeah.